Marc Freedman has a purpose. As managing partner and co-founder of Evolved Profits, he and his team have over 40 years of experience in helping businesses free up cash so that it can be reinvested into helping employees, growing the business, and creating positive social impact. He is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and the best-selling author of Expense to Profit: Eliminate the Costs That Sabotage Your Growth. Marc loves helping companies create more profits while being an agent for change. This is his purpose, and in an effort to help more companies and more people, Marc, along with co-host Yanik Silver, author of Evolved Enterprise, bring you Profits with Purpose, a podcast that aims to do just that. On the show, Marc and Yanik talk to successful corporate decision makers, exploring valuable lessons learned, experiences in growing a company, ways to reduce expenses, and all the ways a company can have a positive social impact. Join us each week and get in on the discussion so we can all have more profits with purpose. And now, here's your host, Marc Freedman.
Welcome to Profits with Purpose. Today's guest, Bryan Clayton, is CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, an online marketplace that connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. GreenPal has been called the Uber for lawn care by Entrepreneur Magazine. There's over 200,000 active users completing thousands of transactions a day. Bryan's been in the lawn care industry his entire life, working and starting in mowing with neighbors' lawns in high school and ultimately founding Peachtree, a market-leading landscaping company in the Southeast, growing the firm to over 125 employees. In 2013, he was successful navigating the acquisition of Peachtree to LUSA Holdings, the operator of Landscapes USA, a national provider of commercial landscape services. The inspiration from GreenPal is born out of the frustration Bryan observed while operating in the landscape business and how difficult it is for homeowners to find, schedule, and pay reliable small lawn care professionals. Bryan oversees GreenPal's strategic direction and growth to become the platform that powers the lawn care industry. His interest and expertise are related to entrepreneurialism, small business growth, marketing, and bootstrapping businesses from zero revenue to profitability and exit. Bryan, welcome to Profits with Purpose.
Thanks for the introduction. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, did I miss anything there? Or
no, that's 22 years of entrepreneurship right there.
Wow, pretty cool. So how did you really end up in the landscape business?
Yeah, I'd like to tell you that I was a born entrepreneur, but the reality is I was forced into business ownership by my father as a teenager. On a hot summer day, he came in my room and said, "Hey, get off your butt. You got a gig that I lined up for you. You're going to go mow the neighbor's yard." He made me go cut the neighbor's grass. And I remember I made like $20 mow for like an hour's work. And in the mid 90s, that was really good money. And ever since then, I was hooked. First thing I did after I finished that job was I passed out a bunch of flyers all over the neighborhood. And by the end of that first summer, I had like 10 or 15 customers. And I stuck with that little lawn mowing business all through high school, all through college. And when I graduated college, I had to make a decision. Was I going to go into the job market or stick with this landscaping company? And I decided to take what little I learned in business school and apply it to this landscaping business. I didn't really want to be a lawn guy my whole life, but I thought, hey, maybe this is the thing that could help me level up in life. Maybe this is my lane. And over a 15-year period of time, built a pretty big business, over 150 employees, got it over 10 million a year in revenue. And in 2013, that business was acquired. So it is growing it from just me and a push mower to me and something like 90 trucks going out every day. I learned a lot about the landscaping business and business in general. And then after that, I sold it, got bored, thought, what now? What should I do with my life now? And the idea for GreenPal was one that I was kind of kicking around. I thought, how hard could it be? Let's see if we can build the Uber for lawn mowing. And now GreenPal is a 10-year overnight success. Now we have over 300,000 people using this app to get their grass cut.
Obviously, the COVID experience that we all went through over the past couple of years, was that actually helpful in exploding your business at all? Just because it now became the norm to do these things this way?
Definitely accelerated a lot of things that were already happening. So there were companies like DoorDash and Instacart and Uber Eats all
Right.
of these kind of peer-to-peer marketplaces where you could push a button and get something done in a contactless manner. All these companies had banner years. And so we kind of had that tidal wave that we rode as well. And so it accelerated our growth and accelerated a lot of things already happening in terms of people are starting to understand that the norm now is to download an app and just push a button and get it done versus calling all over Craigslist or Facebook or Yelp and leaving a bunch of voicemails and
Even
haggling
pulling
with
out the yellow pages.
Yeah, I mean, people still do that. I mean, it's like people still do a lot of things the hard way when there's technology out there these days that make it as easy as pushing a button. And that's what we do for the lawn mowing business. We make it as easy as just popping in your address, hiring a lawn mowing service, and it's just done. It just happens like magic. In the same way that you would order groceries on Instacart or your Chinese food on DoorDash.
So what did you see in the landscaping business that actually prompted your sale before the finding of GreenPal, that decided after all these years in this business that you had built to such a success that it was the right time to get out?
Yeah, for me, it was like a 2-year process from the idea that I had, from the moment I had the idea to sell the company to the moment that we were able to get the deal done was a little over 2 years. So it was a long process. And one of the things that precipitated that was I ran that business for 15 years. And in my companies, it's always the thing that's causing me to level up in life. It's always the thing that's causing me to learn new skills, take on new challenges, pick up books that I never in a million years would read. And so I was kind of reaching a plateau in terms of my personal development running that company. It's not like I had conquered the world or anything, but I kind of had taken that business as far as I could take it in the market that we were in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really have the ambition to take it into multiple cities. And I was ready for something new. I was ready for a new challenge in life. And that's what really precipitated the idea to explore an exit. Because the business was and is profitable and it was growing, and the people that worked there were my family. So it was a challenging thing to get done, but that was the main reason why I explored the exit of it.
Interesting. So I noticed you recently tweeted the following statement: "Purpose is where joy comes from, and your business can be the vehicle to identify and bring that purpose into your life." Let's expound on that a little bit, that thought. Most people get trapped by their businesses. You're certainly an exception. How is that different for you, and what advice would you give our listeners?
Well, I understand what that feels like. I've been trapped by my businesses in the past before. Business can be one of the best things that ever happened to you in life, be one of the greatest things you ever did with your life, or it could be one of the most miserable things if you don't do it right. And there's been periods over the last 20 years where I had it all messed up and my business was not a blessing. It was something that was causing great pain. And so I kind of had to take my last business to the sticks and rebuild it from the inside out. And going through that, I started to realize that the business was the thing that was lending like an interesting storyline to my life. It was the thing that was causing my life to be interesting. It was the thing that was causing me to take on new challenges and learn new skills and literally like create an interesting storyline to my life. And that really my life's purpose was my small business, was the people that worked there, was the success of the business, was the customers that use the services that we offered. And that's really why I got out of bed in the morning. And I started to kind of make those connections and understand that no matter what, I'm going to be working my butt off on my best idea for my business. And that's just my life's purpose. And so if you can kind of rewire the struggle and rewire the journey that you go through in building a business as it's your business, it's your life's purpose. And it's the thing that's causing your life to be interesting and dynamic and worthwhile. It can help take care of a lot of those kind of low points in the journey of getting a business going.
Let's talk about GreenPal. So other than the fact that you were bored and you decided it was time to do something new, what was the driving motivation behind the business, and what is its aim?
So GreenPal makes it as easy as pushing a button to get a lawn mowing service for consumers. But for small business owners, for people that make it their living in the lawn mowing industry, it's a platform. It's an entire operating system for them to run their entire business. So that's really why we do what we do. We really try to help these folks make material income, double and triple their lawn mowing business on top of our technology, and really improve their livelihoods. That's really kind of the purpose of why we do it. And I always kind of knew that it was going to work, that it was going to be a good idea, because I just saw this problem every day in my first business. My first company, we had grown it to 100 plus people, and we had gotten to the point where we were only doing commercial work, but we would still get calls for your basic residential services on a daily basis, as many as 50 or 100 a day. People would call our receptionist asking for us to come mow their yard. And we would say, hey, we don't do that, but here's the list here's 5 names and numbers of smaller service providers that want this work, and you can call them. And then those folks would get overloaded, and then we would constantly be recycling like new people in this list. So essentially, like before GreenPal, I was kind of doing it just in a hand crank kind of fashion. And so I knew, because I had observed this behavior in kind of the analog world, that an app needed to exist to make this whole thing run smoother. And I knew that there were hardworking like lawn guys and lawn gals that really wanted this business, but there was no way for homeowners to find them. And there was no way for homeowners to hire them easily and to know if they were any good or reliable or not. And so I set out with 2 co-founders to make the platform, to make it as easy as pushing a button to hire these folks off the shelf and help these folks grow their business, make more money with less hassle, and double and triple their revenue in the first year running on top of our technology.
Wow. So cool. You, obviously in every business, there's a challenge to make sure that the referred party is going to be reliable and is going to live up to certain expectations. I'm guessing that you all must have some sort of a due diligence process that you go through before you allow somebody to be on your network.
Yeah, we have to, right? Because that is the brand. Like if you order, your food on Uber Eats or DoorDash and it shows up cold or missing or wrong, you're mad at DoorDash. If you get on Airbnb and you show up and the house isn't available, or if it's really dirty, you're mad at Airbnb. And so GreenPal is oriented in the same fashion. We have to not only vet the contractors that use the platform to run their business, but constantly score them and rank them and promote the good, reliable contractors and demote and at times even expel the unreliable ones. And so the way we did that in the early days, it was very much like a hand cranking fashion. Like I personally knew the first 500 service providers that used the platform, and I interviewed them and personally in like a hand-to-hand combat style knew which ones were good and knew which ones weren't. But as time went on, now we have 32,000 that use the platform. We score these folks and we understand, okay, this is how reliable Joe's lawn mowing service in Wichita, Kansas is. We understand that because we score how often he shows up on time. If he's supposed to be there on Thursday, how often does he show up on Thursday? And then we also score how often he gets booked for a second lawn mowing. And that's a very good indicator of, was the homeowner happy with his services enough to book him for a second, third, and fourth visit. And then we also have your standard star rating system that everybody's accustomed to these days. And those are the 3 primary ways that we gauge which contractors are doing a good job for their customers and which ones are not engaged into the business and really don't care about their customers. And we demote those ones and at times expel them. And this is how we provide a 10x experience to consumers when they come onto the platform. They can just very quickly and easy and magically order a reliable lawn mowing service, versus if you do this kind of like by hand in the analog world, it's like pulling teeth. You have to call 10 different people, leave 10 voicemails. One might call you back, may show up, may not. We solve all those problems for consumers while helping contractors grow their business and with less time and less headache.
That's a lot of providers. How many cities are you in?
We're in every major city in the United States now. Every city with a population over 40, 50,000 people, we have established a network. But it didn't start that way. We spent 4 years just in Nashville, Tennessee, where we live. And we really just tried to go slow and nail the experience and nail the playbook before we blew it out to every city in the United States. So we have a motto. We say, nail it, then scale it. And while it was excruciating because it's like we wanted to go faster, we wanted to go quicker in those early days, we knew there was no reason to pour gas on the fire yet because we just didn't have it figured out. And so that's what kills a lot of startups is they raise a bunch of venture capital and they try to pour like rocket fuel into the Toyota Camry and it just blows apart. We didn't want to make that mistake.
No, brilliant. Actually, when you think about it, like you said, nail it and then expand it. That brilliant. What would you say is the culture of your business? And is there a core culture that you try to foster and does it contribute to the success of the business?
Yeah. So as the founder, particularly, we have 42 people now. And so as you kind of get through the levels of the game, culture is one of those things as the founder, you have to protect, you have to foster. It's one of those kind of high leverage things that you have to focus your time on. In the early days, when it's just you and 2 or 3 people, it's not as important, but when it's you with 40 people, it becomes critical. And for us, we try to center our culture less around values and more around virtues. So virtues are like the things that you're doing. Like virtues are the things that you actually show up in your work. Whereas values, you throw them up on a wall, like integrity, honesty, perseverance, whatever. But virtues are the things that we're doing. It's like the things that we actually do. And so one of our virtues is to always make sure that a customer's problem is taken care of. And so if somebody is emailing in, calling in, hits with the live chat, we always try to make sure we see it all the way through and make sure that they are satisfied, that whatever went wrong is fixed. And like I try to embody that in what I'm doing on a daily basis. And one way that we instill that in our people is that everybody has to do 5 hours of live chat every month. And so that kind of keeps us centered around, okay, this is what customers are saying. This is where we're pissing people off. This is where we're making people happy. And that way there's no gap that develops between, the team and the customers. There's this weird thing that happens. Like there's this gap that develops between company logic and customer logic. And one way to close that gap is to talk to your customers, as simple as that sounds. And so one of our virtues is everybody on the team, doesn't matter who you are, me as the founder, CEO, engineers, product people, designers, content creators, everybody has to do at least 5 hours of live chat or phone support every month. I do an hour a day. And that's one of the virtues that we have in the business that keeps us oriented around making sure that we're making people happy. And that's part of the culture of how we've if you're not on board with that, you're not a good fit. You're not a good part of the culture. If you are on board with that, you're a good fit and you'll be a good fit for our culture.
Oh, that's so cool. Many leaders, founders, CEOs can hardly find time to separate an hour daily to support their business like you're talking about. That's really an amazing virtue.
Well, sure. It's like this. You can segment your day out between things that are urgent but not important. And that's how most of us get our days are dominated by things that are urgent but not necessarily important. And then you really have to carve out time for things that are important but not urgent. So like me in that hour a day, it's an important thing, but it's not urgent. I could not do it one day and the business will still be okay. But really trying to set out your week and set aside time for the things that are important but not urgent is how you can kind of stay out in front of things and build a healthy business, build a healthy culture, and become a better executive. And that's a thing from the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is really trying to take inventory of your week and set aside that time for the things that are important but aren't urgent. And it's hard to do because with email and text notifications and everything that's bombarding us on a daily basis, we get bogged down into things that are urgent, but not necessarily important.
That's really pretty cool. So every business has expenses. What are the most significant costs that you see with your business? And is it something that would hold you back from growing if you were able to get it under control?
Yeah, it's in my first business, the main cost driver was labor. And that's a tough one for any small business. And a lot of times in most businesses, when you're in a problem or things aren't working out, you try to throw bodies at the problem. Like you just try to throw more people at it. And that can spell doom. And the next thing you know, that you wake up on a Monday morning and you can't make payroll. And I've done that. And so I would encourage, anybody listening to this, it's in business at whatever level. If you're at 3 people or 300, you really have to know your unit economics on labor hours and understand where you're making money and where you're not. And you can and understand, like if you're selling services, you're selling labor hours, and understand what the unit economics mean behind that. Because at times, I let that get away from me, and I couldn't make payroll one time. So that's scary. So at this level, we have 42 people. We're not selling labor hours. We're building a product. We're building a platform. And one of the things that kind of mystifies me at this level is, as a founder, as a CEO, you are taking on the role of like what's known as a capital allocator. Like a little bit of money comes in, and then you have to like make these bets. And sometimes the bets are smart and sometimes the bets aren't smart. And it's less like chess and it's more like poker. And it's this difference, but between my first business and my second business, it's like I have to figure out, okay, well, we've got an extra $100,000 this quarter or $250,000 this quarter. How are we going to allocate that capital? Do we allocate it on more developer resources, or do we hire a better content creator, or do we redesign the app, or do we hire another customer service person? And making these smart bets and trying to triage the resources of the company around certain things has oftentimes mystified me. And one way that I have kind of helped kind of make the best bet that I could is by listening to customers, by let that be like the free R&D, letting that guide my decision making has been helpful. But as far as like a cost driver, that's one thing that's challenging at this level. Is it's less about managing costs and making smart bets. And if you make dumb bets, it can get out of hand quick.
Interesting. How about giving back? What do you look at as your responsibility giving back, and how does it pay dividends for the success of your business?
Yeah, we really care about one thing, and that's the growth of the small business owners that use our platform. And so that's why I get out of bed every morning. And that's why we do what we do. And that's how we measure our success. That's how we gauge if we're making impact or not. And so the way that we give back is we make the software completely free to use. We take a small transaction fee for the services that vendors use on the platform, and we make that just really, 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 really reasonable. A lot of these platforms are kind of draconian almost in the way that they manage their suppliers. Like at times, however you view it, sometimes it just seems like DoorDash or Uber or Lyft might take a little bit more than their fair share of the transaction. We've always tried to give 10 times more value than we take out of the transaction. That's kind of been an ethos of ours. And so that's one way that we give back. Another way that we give back is I still do 5 to 10 hours a month of free coaching for small business owners that use our platform to grow their business. I grew a landscaping company just from me and a push mower to me and 100 people. So I know a thing or two about growing a landscaping business. And so I offer free mentoring and coaching for small business owners in this industry to grow their lawn mowing business. And, some of that translates into GreenPal success, but it's hard to connect the dots. I look at it more as a benevolent thing, and it feels good. I like helping small business owners grow their business and improve their lives with their business.
Cool. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
In business, you always come across like every now and then you come across these aha moments. And for me, Some of the best advice I've been given is when I sold my first company, the guy that bought the business, he was kind of an arrogant dude, but he said to me, "Hey, congratulations, you're now a millionaire. Let me give you a piece of advice. It's a lot easier to make $1 million than it is to hold on to $1 million." And that really resonated with me. And so when I had to build GreenPal, it was tempting to like take all the proceeds from the first business and plow them into the second business. But like that dude's advice was always in the back of my head. Is like, well, you don't want to do that. Like, let's just protect that golden goose. And in a weird way, that was foundational to the success of my second company, because necessity is the mother of invention. Sure. And it caused us to really focus on our customer. It caused us to focus on our users, and it really clarified our thinking. Whereas if I had taken all the proceeds from my first business and plowed them into the second one, we might have made like sloppy decisions, and we might have made weaker decisions. Whereas it forced this kind of efficiency, and it forced us to do the hard things, and it forced us to innovate. So that was a really good piece of advice that I got, that if I had not gotten it, things might have turned out differently.
Very interesting, because most people usually take the proceeds, what's left after Uncle Sam gets their piece, and they do plow it into the next opportunity, and it maybe makes you a little bit more frivolous.
I think it definitely would have been in our case, because we were inventing a brand new product from scratch. So there was no roadmap. And so the tendency can be, if you've got a bunch of cash in the bank, can be to like, well, just go buy a bunch of ads and just go hire a software developer rather than learning how to build software. And the harder things are usually the correct decisions. And if you don't have cash, it forces you to do the harder things.
Interesting. So is there anything that I haven't mentioned that you want to touch on?
Like I touched on earlier, I think if you're in business, if you're thinking about getting in business, if you're in a stage of the journey that's tough, reframing the journey of your business and really your life's journey, and really looking at your business to be the thing that causes your life to be interesting, can really help you get through some of the low points if you're listening to this and you're in a low point now. And then the other thing I'll say is, a lot of times when it comes to starting a business or growing a business, you can think you missed it. You can think, oh, well, SaaS computing is come and gone, or crypto's come and gone, or the gig economy, I missed that, or I missed Web3, and the reality is that it always gets bigger. It always gets bigger. The opportunities always grow and magnify and compound. And so you didn't miss it. Like, get in the game, because only when you're in the game can you win. And so I guess that's the main point I'll leave your listeners with.
Great. So Bryan, if someone wants to get in touch with you and learn more about what you guys are doing, the great stuff at GreenPal, how would they do that?
Yeah, anybody doesn't want to waste time mowing your own yard, you can just download GreenPal in the App Store or Play Store. Anybody wants to hit me up, Instagram's the best place to reach me. You can reach me at Bryan M. Clayton. Great.
Thanks. We'll, of course, put all that in the show notes. Bryan, it's been wonderful. Appreciate it. Great success. I love your stories. We look forward to seeing you again at some point on Profits with Purpose to tell us more.
Thanks for having me on, Marc.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Profits with Purpose. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are interested in reducing the expenses of your business, creating positive social impact, or contributing to the show, reach out to Marc or Yanik with Evolved Profits by emailing podcast@evolvedprofits.com or visiting the website www.evolvedprofits.com.